Welcome to the WoW podcast, where we bring you inspiring stories and insights from our university community. Tune in for conversations about growth, success, and the power of communication in the academic world. So get ready to soar with us on the wings of wisdom.
Welcome back to the Wings of Wisdom, the podcast where we explore the stories, insights, and journeys of educators and leadership shaping our community. Today, we are honored to welcome Slade Presley Denman, Director of Bands at Ashland University. He came here from the University of Pikeville and had previously taught at places like University of North Texas and went to Ohio University for his undergrad, OU, oh yeah, and was in the Marching 110 while he was there. And we're going to kind of go through a little bit of his educational journey and some of his philosophies and things like that in this episode. So, Andrew, over to you.
Hi, and thank you for being with us today. Really appreciate you here with your insights and your awesome message for the campus about the great work you do. To begin with, can you tell us a bit about your journey and what led you to Ashland University?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's great to be here on the podcast, and it's great to be here at Ashland University. This is my first year here, so So I guess a homegrown Ohioan. I grew up in Zanesville, Ohio. Went to West Muskingum, and then transferred to Tri-Valley High School, right outside of Zanesville, and then went to Athens, Ohio for OU for my undergrad and master's at Ohio University. So Ohio is, where all my family and friends are from. So this is the place that I wanted to be. Ever since I ended up leaving to go to grad school past Ohio University, and went down to Texas for my beginning of my dissertation studies at UNT. So ever since I left, I realized how much Ohio means to me, and being close to family and friends and this community. And music is not as well supported across the states. There's certain pockets where band specifically is much more supported than elsewhere, and Ohio is one of those states, including Texas, and I'd say Florida has a large scene as well. That's really well supported on the marching band, symphonic band side of things. So and I didn't really recognize that until I ended up leaving the state and saw the differences and unfortunately some lack of support in other areas. So Ohio was, both where I'm from, but also where I can find my people, my musical people that I wanted to work with, and have colleagues and students that were passionate and interested in doing the thing that I'm here to do. So, and that I did growing up here. So Ashland, when the gig came up, that immediately started a conversation in my house with my wife, like, hey, is Ashland somewhere we want to move to? Huh? And we were both in agreement and started looking more into it. It seems just like the right place that that felt like where we grew up, and we were just at home before we even made it up here. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We're so glad to have you here.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Okay, so like Gio said, you've held a variety of roles across institutions such as Texas Wesleyan and the University of Pikeville. And you even founded your own wind orchestra. So what drew you to leadership in band programs, and how have those experiences shaped your philosophy?
Good question. Well, I think it started back in elementary school and middle school for me, when I was still experimenting with what my passions were and interests were as a student. And obviously, I'm a band director now. One spoke out to me more than others, and music had a special place right away for me. And it was one of those things that it was an escape from all the day-to-day activities of a regular student. Get your mind off math class, science class, whatever, and get to actually have fun doing the musical thing in band and choir classes. So I think that's where it started for me. And then as I grew up and I started maybe having some more leadership positions when I was in marching band, I kind of got a taste of what would it be like to be a band director as a student still, being a field commander at some point. And I think as my musical development has gone along with my age and education level, I just kind of kept thinking more and higher of where I could take that professionally, and I guess I've gone to the university level now. So back when I was a middle schooler, I was like, I would love to be a high school section leader, and then when I was a high school section leader, I was like, I would love to be a field commander, and then it kind of just kept snowballing higher and higher until I was like, I want to be a middle school director, and then that changed because I wanted to do high school stuff, and yeah, so I just keep, I guess, progressing as a musician and a teacher as well. So who knows what the future holds? But I think I finally found my calling is what I'm hoping for the rest of my career as a university level band director. So did that answer all the parts of the question, I think, or is there more? I'm sure there's more to come, so you guys can keep firing away.
So I guess kind of on the next step of that, Lauryn and I both being in different ensembles, various ensembles, we've kind of, talked about how we can't quite call you Dr. Denman yet, although it does have a nice ring to it. So you're currently completing your doctorate, actually, of musical arts in wind conducting. So how has that experience influenced your approach to teaching and conducting, especially since that's the next step up in your kind of journey for education and music?
Sure. Yeah. Great question, and thanks for the encouragement to finish this degree. So yeah, I'm still completing the doctorate. I've got all the coursework done. Just got to write the paper, and I'm in the process of completing that. For me, I don't want to call it writer's block, but there was a bit of I didn't know what I wanted to write about for a long time, and I thought I kept getting different good ideas, and then the more I looked into it or played it out, gamed it out in my head, I was like, maybe that's not the best route to go. So I finally got one that I'm not going to say on the podcast because I don't want it to get stolen before it gets done. But I think, but it's also been a lesson for me where I the higher in academia you go into your studies, the less it becomes, here's your homework, here's your quiz here, and things that your professors are giving you to complete, and then you check the box by doing the thing. When you get to the PhD or DMA for me level, it becomes less hands-on and more you got to find your own path, and it's kind of a sink or swim, I think, for a lot of people. I feel very supported. It's not sink for me, I don't think, but a lot of people, I think, when they get to this point in their education, sometimes they either have the energy and the passion to get all the way through it without having to blaze their own path for it. So I think I'm finding that myself, and I think that's the lesson that if there's any advice that I can give to people is to what's the saying, don't give up on your dreams, or something along those lines, where keep that passion, because there's a lot of things along the route that can burn you out or feel overwhelming, and as long as you remind yourself what you were passionate about in the first place about this whole band thing, that, or music or choir or whatever your calling is, art, athletics, that if you remember what drew you in the first place and made you passionate about that you don't lose that spark as you continue to get the layers of work poured on you, the higher up you go. So I think that's really important to try to keep your trajectory, both with your work-life balance and your passions. And for, I think, specifically for music people, it's hard too, because we're passionate about what we do, but to not let your work overtake your hobby, because this all started as a hobby for us, right? And trying to keep those pockets of I'm playing music for me, not for work, as you continue to not lose that spark. So that's an abstract way of answering your question, I think.
Okay. As you mentioned before, you keep progressing with where you want to go with life and your position, and that you've worked across K through 12 and even higher education, which you're currently doing. What are the key differences in teaching at those levels, and how have they informed your work here at Ashland?
Well, I think the main thing is just that you're working with adults now, or at least that's what I'm doing now at the university, and I think that's what drew me here in this field of study is I wanted to um, um, guide people that were about to go out and influence others at the level that we're at in college, where I can work on really intricate and passionate and un uh, what's a good word for it? Unrestrained musical talent with you all, and kind of go for those heights of music, but then know that that's all working towards getting you guys out as adults, either performing or teaching or taking it with you as a hobby if you're not a music major or minor, and taking those moments that you felt hopefully here with me in symphonic band and marching band, and taking it and paying it forward to the next generation. I think that's the main thing that is different for me at the college level. Whereas if you're teaching at the high school or middle school or elementary level, you are paying it for right then, and you're working towards those students. And for me, the I don't want to say let down, but part of the being a middle school and high school director is that you know that they're eventually going to leave you, and go on to new heights. And I think that was part of the thing that I was missing out on, where encouraging them in their musical development to eventually go out into a college band or choir. And I think that was the inkling to me that I wanted to be where that apex for them went, and meet them where they're going to be at their heights. So, and obviously, university music is not the highest level of music. There's symphony orchestras, and all the military bands are phenomenally talented, but for the most part, university music is kind of the height of most of our population that they get to experience, and I love to be a part of it and enjoying that, and get to help you all cultivate those memories too.
Yeah, so we've kind of talked about a little bit about your past, obviously coming up as a musician and now being a director, conductor. You don't really get a lot of chances to play, unless you're in brass ensemble, obviously with you learning French horn or relearning French horn, as you claim it. So your resume highlights experience not only as a conductor, but also as a performer. So you've played saxophone in the past, you've played piano in the past, and a lot more. How does being an active musician shape your identity as an educator as you kind of have moved through the ranks of the music education world?
Great question. And yeah, I'm definitely a culprit of I don't know if there's a saying for it, so I'll coin one now. But band director syndrome, where the more you pick up a baton and wave it around, the less you actually make the sound anymore. So the more I get up in front of groups and get to work on you all, I the ratio of time it's a zero-sum game for me to be able to play it myself. So I do try to keep my chops up, and playing some groups back in Kentucky, where I was before this. I was in probably 3 or 4 community groups that I was playing saxophone or piano in, and I'm trying to make those connections up here now that I'm in a new place too. But what was the question again? Let me back up.
Yeah, so the question is, like, how does being an active musician shape your identity as an educator?
Gotcha. So, well, and I think that coming down to if we're talking philosophy about like music education, or just education in general, I think this is true that there's a saying that a lot of us hear at some point when we're in the education world, where those that can't do teach. And I hate that saying because sometimes that gets thrown at you in a derogatory way. But I think to be contrary to that, I think you need to come from a place of highly developed talent, expertise, what have you, depending on your field, before you can be a good teacher. There's lots of great teachers that don't necessarily, have the highest levels of talent, but they all have a level of it that they're able to express those things down to their students afterwards. And I think that takes a lot of cultivation of your own talents first. So for me, in being a conductor, I guess, coming from a place of knowing your own musical abilities and talents so deeply that you can then speak to it later, even if it's, I'm a saxophonist speaking to a French horn player or something else that I'm not an expert in, that I've lived that route elsewhere on a different instrument, that I can speak to, almost coaching the others up to where, I would have held my own self to back in the day when I was in the ensembles. So yeah, I think good teachers, music teachers, really need to be good musicians first before they can then also be good teachers afterwards.
So you've also demonstrated leadership in building programs such as the earlier mentioned Mountain Arts Center Wind Orchestra. So for me personally, what does it take to build something from the ground up in the music world?
Great question. Well, I guess I'll go into a little bit about that group first before I get to your question. But the Mountain Arts Center Wind Orchestra, or MECWO, is what I call it for short. That was the acronym I was thinking of when I called it that. It's called the Mountains Arts Center in Prestonsburg, Kentucky, which is north of Pikeville, Kentucky, where I taught at before. And it's a venue where there's lots of comedians, country music artists, bluegrass, rock, lots of different things that go through there. They have their own homegrown, they call it the Junior Pros, the Kentucky Opry, that they house there. So most of it's, pop, country, rock affiliated music. And there really wasn't anything in that area that was a high level classical, symphonic band or even orchestra style group. There were community bands, but nothing that was like, that you could sell a ticket to, like we would have here, like thinking like Ashland Symphony Orchestra. Like there wasn't something like that in that side of Eastern Kentucky. And so I had always wanted to start a group like this where I could unapologetically program any music that I wanted to without reservation, not having to worry about, is this going to be too hard for this level of group? And I had worked with a lot of groups in Texas that were like that. So I kind of had a semblance of what that was like running a group like that. And so the plug for me with that Mountain Arts Wind Orchestra was that the Louisville Symphony had toured through our area, and it had a really well-received reception at those venues in Eastern Kentucky. Lots of people came out to see it, and that was after they had had their concert. That's when I went and pitched it to the Mountain Arts Center. I was like, hey, wouldn't it be great if we didn't just have people tour here, but what if we had one ourselves that we was homegrown and from this area, from this region, and they liked the idea, and that's how it got started. So then I just started reaching out to lots of grad students and faculty members from other universities in Eastern and Central Kentucky and across the borders, and because this was very, very Eastern Kentucky, Virginia, West Virginia, Ohio, and we put together a group through either invitation or audition, and we've played some very significant repertoire so far, and I hope to keep that going. So as far as the experience goes, to get back to your question, it takes a lot of legwork, especially when you're a one-man show trying to put it all together yourself for the first time. It's different when you're with an organization that's already got something established. But this has been a couple times now where I've started something from nothing, but this was the rather elevated level of a group that was like that. And so, networking is a huge thing, in any organization or any field that you're in, but especially that of music, trying to, cultivate these connections over time that I can finally, 15 years from now, call in a favor from someone I used to work band camps with, back in the day. So, yeah, but the reward is when you're able to pull something off like that. And, my big worry was we did the first one. And I was like, okay, it's one thing to put it together the first time and have a great concert, but then what if they don't want to do it the next year? Like, what if it was a one and done, and you know, we put all that work in and it just wasn't received as well as we would have hoped. That was kind of my main worry. But then we had a second round the next summer, so it's a continuing process, and I hope that it keeps going every year, and we are building it out now that it's got its foothold there. So who knows? You know, I still plan to do that. I know I'm in Ohio now, but I still plan to go down in the summers. And this isn't like a months long group. It's a 1 weekend sort of thing. Maybe we'll add some weekends over time, but it's something where we can all get in the same building together on one rehearsal and have a concert that evening. So I still plan to keep that group going. And who knows, maybe something will be started near us in Ashland or around Ashland, Ohio. Maybe I need to reach out to the symphony orchestra people and see if they want to add a symphonic band wing to their stuff. Maybe they'll be okay with that. But yeah, good question.
Yeah, so we're gonna switch gears a little bit and kind of focus on Ashland as a campus. So for those who may not know, we have the Ashland University Marching Band, which just hit 100 years a couple years ago. We have the Screaming Eagle Pep Band, as we like to be called, that plays at basketball games, home, and we play every once in a while at like pep rallies, things like that. Um, these marching bands and athletic bands are like kind of the first interaction a lot of students get with like athletics and kind of the athletic bands, and they're such tradition rich parts of like campus. We're playing at pregame, we're playing in front of the fountain at football games, we're playing halftime. So coming to this and kind of you moved up a division coming from Pikeville, which are D3, to Ashland at D2. What excites you the most about being able to lead these ensembles at Ashland?
Good question. Well, one is the student body, and I think that was the main thing that drew me when I was interviewing here. It was the interactions I had with you all during my when I came and conducted the symphonic band on a rehearsal, and had our student to director, or potential director rather, interview questions, and just talking like what your passions were and what you wanted to see for the future of these organizations. And so I think that was something I was craving coming to Ashland, was having students who were very, very passionate and very, what's the term? Not worried, but very invested. That's a term. Invested in where the organizations were going in the future, and I'm hopefully having a heavy hand in affecting that for the better. But I think we can tap into that more. So I would like to see the numbers obviously get bigger in the marching band, especially, and for that to happen, it really is coming down to the character of each of you, all of the students putting together a community that is something worth joining, and keeping people in it. Just, we want to, I don't want to call it a fraternity or sorority vibe, but, having that brotherhood or community that when you come here as a freshman, that you immediately have 50 friends that you are able to collaborate with and get to know right off the bat, instead of being a timid freshman in their dorm and doesn't know anybody and doesn't have any things that they do yet. But us athletes and music folk and arts people have the benefit of having those built-in communities that as long as you're passionate about it and you're willing to put the work in, you immediately have a support network. And I think that's a great thing that Ashland does very well, and I want to tap into that more. So, yeah.
Building off of, the student body and having two of your students right in front of you, what do you hope they take away from their time besides the brotherhood, like you mentioned? What do you hope they take away from their time in your program, musically and personally?
Well, I hope you've enjoyed your time and that you want to come back to homecoming and things like that. But no, really, like I think our students and then eventually you as alumni are in something that once you go out, 20 years, 30 years from now, you're still near, even if you're not in Ashland specifically, that you're still able to support us by coming to concerts, being in the community band, coming back to the one-off homecoming that you're able to make. I think that support network and just handing the baton off to no pun intended handing the baton off to the future generations is something that I want to really flesh out here, and we've done that with inviting our alumni to homecoming performances where we have them join us on the field for a number or two with the marching band. But I want to push that even more so that you always have a home here, even after your time at Ashland is over, that you still want to come back and see and support and participate where you're able to. So that would be thing number one. But thing number two is hopefully, I've also had a musical impression on you, and you've developed your talents with me, and you can go and, like I said, whether you're going to be a teacher or whether you're going to move somewhere else and there's a community band that you can join there because you have the skills to do so. That's something that I want to help you cultivate before your time's over here.
Yeah, so we've talked a little bit about education and kind of like music education. Based on your experience, what advice would you give to young educators, whether it's music educators or just educators in general, trying to sustain the passion for the education field and avoiding burnout?
Oh, yeah, great question. Yeah, burnout is such a big issue in the education field. I mean, there's other fields too that definitely deal with burnout, but I think education is definitely one of the worst ones, where part of it is the system. I mean, and there's not much that we can do to avoid it, but just the way that you are educated in college, and then you go into your field experiences and student teaching. That some people don't realize that they don't want to be a teacher until they've already been through some years of school. And we as an institution and academia in general are trying to find routes that alleviate that, whether that's getting people out their freshman year out into schools and seeing what it's going to be like for them, because a lot of us our only experience in school is the one that we graduated from, right? So and that's not where you're probably going to end up teaching if you're going to be a teacher. So getting out and seeing different, varying levels of classroom sizes and funding and levels that can be a very, very beneficial or detrimental thing depending on what school district you're in. So, but as far as like the day-to-day, protecting your own peace, burnout goes, that I think that a lot of teachers can't help themselves and divide what is work and what is your own life anymore. You'll find it, and unfortunately, there's a lot of teachers out there that expect you need to be spending all your waking hours, grading papers and things after hours. And I think that's a really dangerous thing to push. I'm not for, lowering expectations by any means, but there comes a point where the more and more you ask, without giving it the extra support or pay to encourage those things, just leads to teacher turnover and burnout, and people leave the profession in droves because they're being asked more and more for less and less. So I think the main thing for at least for my own anecdotal evidence of avoiding burnout is try to make sure that when the school day is over, that you are done teaching or grading or doing what you need. Now, obviously, if you're a coach or a band director that has after school things, that's a little different depending on the day and the schedule. But try to be able to turn off that switch of I'm in teacher mode now, and now I can go do my hobbies. That's another thing is make sure that you have a hobby that you can tap into. That's a hard one for musicians because obviously one of our hobbies is music. But if there's something else that you can also tap into, for me it's video games. And now it's my daughter that I have a 1-year-old at home, almost 2 now. that I'm able to, you know, take off the band director hat and put on the dad hat, and or whatever your passion is try to keep those things supported, and make sure you're not giving up on your own personal worth and self for the benefit of your students, because you're always going to give your all to your students, but you don't need to lose your entire self to being able to do that well. And the unfortunate reality is that if you go too hard like this and burn yourself out, that you're then going to be removing yourself from those students and that you could have had in the future. So try to balance it as best you can, and be very cognizant of when you're starting to feel signs of burnout, that you're able to take a step back and breathe a little bit. I think the worst of it is in your first year or two, because you just feel like you're drowning in everything, because there's nothing, no matter how much work we do in college for you to prepare you to get in the classroom, nothing truly prepares you until you're there. And just know that the first year is always going to be the toughest, and as you get used to it over the years and you have more and more experience and you've been through the cycle more than once, that eventually it starts to, oh yeah, I'm good at this, I know what's coming next. And if you can get through those early years and come to terms with what that feeling is, then you'll be in better shape down the road.
Okay, so one last question to kind of wrap up this entire thing is, as you continue your work at Ashland, what is your vision for the future of the band program?
Good question. I think we do lots of things well. I want to push the envelope where I can and where I see that we're able to. The main things I seem to push naturally is I love to do harder and harder music, and Gio and Lauryn know what I'm talking about, but being my band students, but I to a point where I want to be able to do fun and difficult and challenging things. So that's more on the symphonic band side, where I want to see where our heights are and where we can go musically. And I think you guys have really answered the call on that. And and maybe I pushed you a little bit too far this semester on a couple tunes, but that's us being new to each other and finding our footing. But I think I want to push the bounds of artistry and where we can find our groove of things. And I think one that's really been a great memory so far, and that we get to showcase again on Friday, by the way, a plug for Friday's performance with the symphonic band, is the piece with Dr. Reed. He composed a piece called Shades of Blue that he is also the feature soloist on with us, and I think that sort of being able to collaborate with a colleague and a teacher for you all, and something that's been homegrown and was written for the Ashland University Symphonic Band. That's just a really cool experience, and trying to get you all in a mindset and musical ability that we can do those things without reservation, and that I don't have to sideline a tune that would be really cool to do, or that we would have a great opportunity with some guest artists in the future because it's too hard for us. That's I guess the thing in the back of my mind is that I want to open our breadth of abilities to be able to take anything that we want to do and run with it. As far as the marching band side of things go, like I said before, I want to see the numbers increase. I want to do more fun things with you all, take you on away trips places, and I'm really going to try to tap into some of the athletic funding that they get over there to try to follow the football team on away trips and stay overnight at a hotel or something. I think those are really important things, because I do know that this university is very commuter heavy. There's a lot of students that are near the area that come to campus, or I've heard the term a suit bag campus. Is that the term, or suit bag? Or suitcase campus, where like a student might be in a dorm here all week, but then they head out on a Friday evening and they don't come back until Mondays. So I want to not let that happen to you all that at least work with me, and have moments where we get to spend more time together and make those connections, and not just come to class or come to rehearsal and then leave. I want there to be more than that, as a community. So marching band's one of those ones that's at the forefront of being able to tap into that. We had the Eagle for a Day this year, where we invited a bunch of high schoolers in to be on the field with us, doing events like that, where we get to not just support our own athletics programs and music programs, but we can support the community and be a face of the university for all to see. So yeah.
Awesome. I know we said that was the last question, but you know how important family is for us here at Ashland University. So with your almost 2-year-old, is she, if she had to, take an album with her on an island and hear that artist for the rest of her life, would she be leaning more towards Coco Melon or Trent Reznor?
Probably Baby Shark right now, if I had to ask
Oh,
her
Baby
today.
Shark.
Yeah,
I forgot about Baby Shark.
Baby Shark is a huge one, and I don't know if you know this. You probably don't, unless you have a 1-year-old at home. But Baby Shark has, like, I don't know, 1,000 variations. There's this like one clip that's like 3 hours long, and it's the same Baby Shark tune, but it's like different like styles every time it's done. So I have not sat down and watched that with her, or let her watch it on herself for 2 hours, but that's definitely a fan favorite. We're also still into the Frosty the Snowman, even though it's mid-April. She loves Christmas movies and things. So yeah, but who knows? Maybe down the road. I'm a band director, so of course she's gonna not want to do band when she grows up. We'll see. But hopefully the musical encouragement stays in the family, no matter what she decides she wants to do. So yeah.
I'm very sorry to tell you, but the children's music will haunt your existence forever.
It
never goes away. Yeah, that damage you can't undo it.
Mm-hmm.
So, Gio, I'll hand it back to you.
Yeah, so kind of going along here, I have been reminded of things, obviously having you for a bunch of ensembles and stuff. So kind of to wrap it up here and before we do our outro, what has been kind of your, like, as we look back on your first year here at Ashland, what has been kind of your favorite, like, memory or activity to do? And, like, just kind of give us a little bit of insight into the community that you kind of built in this first year here at Ashland.
Well, great question. I don't know how much of it is me. I don't think much of it is me. I think it's I'm stepping into a lot of traditions and expectations that both the faculty and the students already have. So really, it's things that you guys have already had that I'm just now joining and being a part of. And hopefully, I can do more things and add more traditions in the future. But I think one of the main things that stand out to me is I already mentioned doing the piece with Dr. Reed. That's been a really cool thing, and that he wrote for the group and is now performing with us on his retirement concert here with us. But the way that you guys end every game for football, for marching band, with the impression that I get, that's a really fun tradition. For those of you that don't know, we always end the day with the that tune, and that's just been a long-standing tradition since before my time here, and I'm going to keep that going. And all the seniors and field commanders and guard and twirlers get down and do a little dance to it while it's happening, and that's a really fun way to end things each game day. So that's one. Yeah, there's lots of things that I think those two are some main ones, but and I'm hopefully a lot more to come. So
yeah. So I mean, we've been honored to have you on here, Professor Denman. Thank you again for sharing your insights and your memories and kind of just talking education in the music world and kind of all your experiences. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in to the Wings of Wisdom, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to the WoW podcast, where curiosity meets inspiration. Brought to you by the Writing and Communication Center at Ashland University.